IRS begins monitoring senior homeowners May 1st. Here is what you need to understand immediately. Pause what you are doing. If you are 62 or older and you own a house, the government has just updated the rules. And beginning May 1st, 2026, your financial activity could be reported directly to the IRS. And most seniors have absolutely no awareness this is taking place. We are referring to reverse mortgages, home equity withdrawals, and certain property transactions. Actions that millions of senior homeowners carry out every single year. What once stayed unnoticed, the IRS now wants a complete record of it. Here is what is concerning. If you are unprepared, this could lead to an unexpected tax bill, impact your Medicare premiums, or even lower your Social Security benefits, all without a single warning notice showing up at your door first. Now, the positive side, there are completely legal strategies to protect yourself. Seniors who understand these rules early can avoid penalties entirely, but the window is closing quickly. And if you delay until after May 1st, it might already be too late to respond. In this guide, I am going to explain exactly what is changing, who it impacts, what the IRS is now tracking, and the 3 steps you should take immediately to protect your home, your income, and your retirement. Let us begin. The IRS, what is truly changing on May 1st, 2026. For many years, senior homeowners in the United States have benefited from certain financial advantages that most working-age Americans simply do not have access to. You have invested into your home for years, sometimes your entire adult life. You have built equity. You have watched that asset increase in value, and for many of you, that home represents your single largest financial resource. It is your nest egg. It is your retirement safety net. And historically, accessing that value through options like reverse mortgages, home equity lines of credit, or property sales has been a relatively private matter between you, your lender, and your real estate attorney. That situation is changing. Beginning May 1st, 2026, specific financial transactions connected to senior homeowners are now required to be reported directly to the Internal Revenue Service. Now, what types of transactions are we discussing? That is the first question people ask, and it is the correct one. The updated reporting rules mainly focus on 3 categories of financial activity. First, reverse mortgage distributions, particularly lump sum payouts and the ongoing monthly payments that seniors receive when they access their home equity through a home equity conversion mortgage, HECM, which is the most widely used reverse mortgage backed by the federal government. Second, home equity loans and home equity lines of credit, HELOCs, where the borrower is over the age of 62 and the loan amount exceeds a certain threshold. Third, property sales, where the seller is a senior homeowner and the transaction creates what the IRS defines as a reportable gain or income event. Now, this does not mean every single home sale or every reverse mortgage will automatically cause a tax issue for you, but it does mean these transactions are now being identified and reported in a way they were not before. And that difference matters significantly why this is happening now. Let me explain why this is happening, because understanding the reason helps you see how seriously the government is approaching this. Over the past several years, the IRS has carried out extensive data analysis on tax compliance gaps across different age groups and income levels, and what they discovered was significant. A large share of senior homeowners who were receiving substantial amounts of money from their home equity through reverse mortgages, property sales, or equity loans were not properly reporting the tax implications of those transactions on their federal returns. In some situations, this was an honest oversight. People simply did not realize that certain proceeds could create taxable events. In other situations, the gap was more intentional. Either way, the federal government concluded that it was losing billions of dollars in uncollected revenue every year and that senior homeowners represented one of the most underreported groups in the entire tax system. The response was to introduce mandatory lender and closing agent reporting, meaning the financial institutions that manage your reverse mortgage, your home equity loan, or your property transaction are now legally required to file a report with the IRS every time one of these transactions occurs involving a senior borrower. In simple terms, the details about your transaction that once remained between you and your lender are now being sent directly to the federal government. This is a major change, and here is why. Part 2 continues directly from where we left off, keeping the same tone and flow. Now, I want to go a little deeper into something most people don't think about until it's too late, and that is timing. Because in situations like this, timing is not just important, it is everything. A lot of seniors make the mistake of waiting until something goes wrong before they take action. They assume that if the IRS has an issue, they will get a letter first, or a warning, or at least some kind of notice that gives them time to fix it. But with modern reporting systems, that is no longer how things work. By the time you hear about a problem, the data has already been shared, analyzed, and flagged in the background. That means your best protection is not reacting quickly, it is preparing early. Let's talk about what that preparation actually looks like in real life. First, you need to understand your full financial footprint as a homeowner. That means not just your mortgage or your property value, but everything connected to your home financially. Any borrowing against it, any sale history, any major withdrawals, any tax documents tied to it. Most people never put all of this in one place, which is exactly why problems happen later. When information is scattered, it becomes easy for mistakes to slip through. And when the IRS already has their version of your financial story, even small inconsistencies can become big issues. Now let's talk about something else that is quietly becoming more important under these reporting changes, and that is record keeping. I know it does not sound exciting, but record keeping is now one of the most powerful financial protections you have. If you ever sell your home, refinance it, take a loan against it, or restructure your equity in any way, every document matters. Receipts, closing statements, contractor invoices, bank transfers, even older paperwork that seems unimportant today can directly affect how much tax you owe years later. And here's the key point most people miss. It is not just about having documents. It is about being able to prove your financial story clearly if you are ever questioned. Because once the IRS has a report from a lender or a financial institution, they are no longer guessing. They are comparing your return to third-party data. That is a very different situation than what seniors dealt with in the past. Now, let's shift to something practical you can do immediately. If you are a homeowner over 62, take 30 minutes this week and do a simple audit. Ask yourself 3 questions. Have I ever borrowed against my home? Have I ever sold a property in the last 20 years? Have I made significant improvements that increased my home's value? If the answer to any of these is yes, you already have a financial profile that may be affected by these new reporting rules, and that does not mean something is wrong. It simply means you need to be organized and aware. Now I want to address a concern that many people quietly have but rarely say out loud, and that is fear. When people hear phrases like IRS tracking or new reporting rules, it can sound alarming. But the goal here is not to create fear. The goal is awareness. Because the worst financial outcomes usually do not come from the rules themselves. They come from not knowing the rules exist. That is where people run into trouble, not because they are doing anything illegal, but because they are unprepared for how connected financial systems have become. So what should you actually focus on going forward? You should focus on clarity. Clarity about your income sources. Clarity about your home equity position. Clarity about your tax documentation. And clarity about how those pieces interact with Social Security and Medicare. Because those systems are no longer separate, they are increasingly linked through data reporting. Now let's talk briefly about one more important point, and that is communication. If you work with a financial advisor, a tax preparer, or a retirement planner, you need to make sure they are aware of these reporting changes. Do not assume they are automatically up to date. Financial regulations change frequently, and not every professional tracks every update in real time. Ask direct questions. Bring up the new reporting requirements. and ask how your current strategy fits into this updated system. A good advisor will not be surprised by these questions. In fact, they should welcome them, because it means you are actively engaged in protecting your financial future. Finally, I want to leave you with a simple way to think about all of this. Your home is not just a place to live. For most seniors, it is a financial instrument. It can support you in retirement, it can provide liquidity, it can affect your taxes, and it can influence your benefits. But like any financial instrument, it needs to be managed carefully. The more organized you are, the more control you have, and the less likely you are to face unexpected surprises. So as these new reporting systems begin to take effect, do not panic. Prepare. Get your documents in order. Understand your situation, and make informed decisions before you act. Because once you have clarity, you are no longer reacting to the system. You are working with it, and that is the position you want to be in. If you found this helpful, make sure you stay updated, because these rules continue to evolve, and staying informed is the strongest protection you can have.